Hi, I'm Sandy with Lightning Tools, and I'm here again with Brett. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Yeah, not too bad at all.
Yeah. Have you recovered from May yet?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, May was a pretty busy month. So we were over in Orlando for the Microsoft 365 conference. And then we are also on the management and the organization team for ECS, which is the European Collaboration Summit, and Cloud Summit, which is in Wiesbaden, Germany. So that was a full week of preparations for 3,000 attendees and
Yeah.
240 speakers and a lot of sponsors and so on. So yeah, it was very hard work.
Yeah,
We
but
played
really
hard and we
fun.
worked hard. Exactly. And then yeah, last week was a bit more relaxing. So we went over to Thrive Conference, which is a wonderful conference. It's a much smaller event, but for that reason, it's great for networking. So we're in a spa hotel, which is fantastic. I gave two sessions, one on permissions and another one on BCS alternatives, where we were talking about Power Apps and Power BI and so on, how you could use that in place of BCS. And yeah, it was besides that, it was quite a relaxing week. And yeah, back to normal this week.
Great. Yep. But in the meantime, we were hard at work with Lightning Forms and released a new version of that with a lot of updates.
Yeah, so the Lightning Forms suite actually,
Mm.
all of it has been touched here in the release. So we've got the Lightning Forms product, which is the SharePoint list form design tool. We've also got the Lightning Tools Actions, which is the automation side for lists and creating action buttons on pages inside of SharePoint. And we've also got the migration piece,
Mm.
which is through our partners Kudzu, so you can migrate PDF forms, InfoPath forms, etc., over to Lightning Forms. We also have the Kudzu Copilot, which
Mm.
also allows you to create forms from an AI prompt, which
Mm.
was fantastic. And Document
And
Generator
document.
is the other one that sort of
Mm.
completes those four.
Mm.
So yeah, there's releases across all of that. So yeah, I think let's start off with
Sure.
Lightning Forms. I know you've got a couple of favorite features that you are dying to talk about.
Yeah, I guess I would say the main new feature that we've been asked many times for from our customers is to be able to create PDFs. So with the document generator, which is a premium add-on to Lightning Forms or Lightning Tools Actions, you've always been able to create Word documents. So, I mean, and that's still what you do. You create a template in Word to be able to have the placeholders that bring in the data from your SharePoint list. But then this create PDF action, additional action, will let you take that and create a PDF out of it automatically. So you don't have to, in the past, you might have had to maybe use a flow for that or create the Word document and then yourself print it to PDF. But now you can do that right within Lightning Forms, which is very cool. And so then you could use that, you could do that as part of a sequence of actions and create your Word document, then make it into a PDF and store it in a library or email it to somebody. All of that can be done right within one sequence of Lightning Tools actions.
Yeah, fantastic. And whilst this is a premium action, the document generator is actually already a premium action. There's no
Right,
actual
right,
further cost to have the
right.
PDF converter, which is
Mm,
great. So you get that as well as the ability to merge documents.
mm,
So merging documents is something you can do in Word anyway. But the great thing here is that you can do this again using some automation. So if you think about a typical business form, quite often there's different roles associated with that form. There's the person that may be filling it out for the first time, but we also have like managerial sections or approval sections and so on. And it might go off to several different people. It might be your line
mm,
manager for approval, it might go to HR for approval, and so on. So once you can create a document at each stage and route that document, at the final stage, you might want to combine those three documents into one. So using that merge documents feature,
mm,
yeah, it's really powerful. And it doesn't just work inside the current site, but you can actually span different document libraries throughout
mm.
your tenant, which is of course really
Oh,
really
cool.
useful.
Mm, nice.
Yeah, so the document generators just become a lot more valuable. There's no
Yes. Yeah.
price increase, there's no
Mm-hmm,
upsell, there's
mm-hmm,
just a lot more features, three
mm-hmm,
actions for the price of one effectively. So
mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm.
it's great.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday about Lightning Forms, and they had seen the webinar that was yesterday, so I'll put a link to that in this chat. And said, other things she was looking at had no way to create a document out of whatever they were doing. So she said, "You guys are really cutting edge." So,
It's true.
yes, I didn't deny
Absolutely.
it.
And I think there's also a feature in Lightning Forms that is really sort of based on files as well. And that's the file viewer.
Mm,
And I know you've seen quite a few requests for this feature as well.
mm, mm,
Um, what we demoed in the webinar was basically bringing in a document that contained the instructions on how to complete the form.
mm.
I mean, that's one reason for it. Maybe a more lame one is
Well, I don't
demonstrating the
know.
feature. But there's yeah, all sorts of documents that are stored inside of document libraries
Mm,
that you can embed on that form.
mm,
Yeah, that's really the purpose of the file view, is to bring
mm,
that content in.
mm,
You may already be used to file viewer web parts for SharePoint pages, but the
mm,
benefit here is you actually bring that into the form itself,
mm,
which
mm,
can't be done using SharePoint out of the box.
mm. I mean, I've seen some of the forms that our clients are producing are really complex forms, and they could
Mm,
use an instruction guide right in the form. So that's not so far-fetched.
there we go. Good. Fantastic. And there's a bit about permissions as well.
Mm,
I know we were talking about this just a moment ago. For me, I think the most useful part, we have these placeholders within inside of
mm,
Lightning Forms, and one of them um, is a placeholder that checks whether the user is a member of a SharePoint group or also a member of an AD or Entra
mm.
AD group, security group. And the SharePoint group, the challenge with that is if you've got a nested AD security group
Mm,
inside the SharePoint group, it never
mm,
used to enumerate the AD group
mm,
membership.
mm,
So now that's optional. You can set true or false as one of the parameters within inside the function,
mm,
and it can go through to multiple layers of the nested groups, which is useful.
mm,
Primarily, we can use that to make things enabled and disabled, or
right.
hidden or not.
Mm,
It's a great way, for example, of you can't hit the approve button unless you're a member of the approvers group,
mm,
etc. So that's a great win, I think, as a new feature. But there's also the ability to check whether you've got edit permissions, delete permissions,
mm.
and so on, which I know you've got some use case examples for.
Yeah, I was thinking that might be helpful during a sequence of actions where because like one of the things you can do is update items in some other list, maybe. A person using a form on a given SharePoint list by definition has the permission on that SharePoint list to be able to edit things normally. I mean, unless they're just using the display form. But anyway, but in as they do some kind of update, there might be part of that is updating an item in some other list, and so you'd want to check to make sure that current user has permission on the other list that they need to be updating. That's one use case I can think of, because I think that has come up before for customers where they've run into trouble where they don't necessarily want to have their users have permission all around, and so then there might need to be some other option that's happening. But being able to just check that is a good idea.
Perfect. Great.
Mm,
Yeah, that sounds good. Now, I think that's a lot of the features that were
mhm,
for Lightning Forms. List Actions is a tool that in the last release, which was just before Christmas, we were able to add now buttons onto pages that
mhm,
can
mhm,
fire off these actions, um, as well as on the command bar, which was the original intention. So you can still do that. You can add a button onto the command bar, and the advantage here over something like Power Automate is the fact that you can uh, affect multiple items in one go. It's not just a single item. So you can
mhm,
select using those radio buttons to the left of files, or to the left of list items,
mhm,
select multiple, and then perform an action, which could be like an approve action, or
mhm.
whatever it might be.
Or create a
Um,
PDF.
well, that's exactly where I was going. Yeah. So
Mhm,
so the create PDF or PDF converter is actually really beneficial inside a document library where
mhm,
we are generating Word documents. If you do want a PDF equivalent of those documents, we can select them and have it convert them all in one
mhm,
go. So whilst I don't think there's much in terms of new features directly for Lightning
Mhm.
Tools actions in this release, that action alone fits really well with Lightning
Mhm.
Tools actions. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's a benefit. And
Mhm.
you don't need Lightning Forms in order to acquire Lightning Tools actions as well. So if you want that automation piece within inside your lists, that's yeah, a perfect reason for going for
Mhm.
it.
And I think another new feature that maybe especially is helpful for the Lightning Tools actions is the debug feature
Yep.
for actions, because that has come up where it's been a little bit of a black box, as far as what is happening inside there and being able to troubleshoot what it might be going wrong. But the debug should help with that.
Yeah, the debug and also scopes.
Mm,
So yeah,
mhm,
debugging, you can use the debug window inside the browser. So hitting F12, you can get into your sequence of actions and try to establish what's going wrong if there is an issue. But equally, along similar lines, is the what we used to do is add an action or a series of different actions, and each action could have a condition, and you with inside that condition you could have a true or a false. Um, what we've got the ability to do now is add a scope, and you can embed the actions inside that scope and have a positive outcome and a negative outcome.
mhm,
So you're
mhm,
not having to check for everything. Like if we just have 3 steps inside our actions, like maybe the save form, sending an email, producing a notification to say that it was submitted successfully, or something like that, as 3 different actions. If something goes wrong in any one of those actions, we may want to just have a general message to say, there's been an issue, as opposed
mhm,
to trapping the action in the send email, trapping the action in the save form,
mhm,
and trapping the action. It's a lot of extra work, and I think, as somebody
mhm,
pointed out in the webinar, it's going to affect performance a little bit as well if you're
mhm,
checking all these conditions all the time on
mhm,
every single action. So yeah, the benefit there is to use the scope, and then
mhm,
you could have 20 different actions if you wanted to inside one scope with a positive and negative outcome,
mhm,
and
mhm,
to display a useful message based on that.
mhm, mhm. Yep, very nice. And then there's a bunch
Yes.
of other smaller things and little improvements and tweaks and stuff like that. Like the camel builder is a little bit easier to use, I think, than it had been, a little more intuitive. And also it appears inside the expression builder. That's actually a really nice addition,
Mhm.
because sometimes there are some of those functions, the query functions like get first value, I think it's called, where you have to include a camel query in there and you are sort of on your own. And so like what I would sometimes do is go into the camel builder and the other part of forms, build my query and then copy it into the expression builder. But now that's available right in the expression builder. So that's cool.
Mhm. Awesome. Fantastic. So yeah, it's a great release. There's a lot of things to
Mm,
talk about
mm,
within this release, and yeah, I think there's more exciting things to come as well. I know around Kudzu, there's going to be some more announcements around the form migration. So I think
great.
watch this space on that one.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, switching products next month, we'll be releasing a new version of the Data Viewer,
Hmm.
and focused quite a bit more this time on the Viva Connections dashboard.
Mm,
So the advanced cards that you can create.
hmm.
So yeah, looking forward to that one if anybody's
Great.
interested. Coming back next
Great.
month.
Yep. Great.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, on that note, have a great weekend, and
Oh,
I will
thanks. You
catch you
too.
next week, Sandy. All
Alrighty.
right.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye for now.